Sherry Hayes from MomDelights.com. I'm the mom of 15 and I have homeschooled for 30 years and I love the Lord Jesus, and I just wanted to bring some more practical help to you guys. A lot of people have asked me because I kind of have shared what I do for homeschooling. I have a conglomeration kind of ideas and methods that I use. And in particular, I talk a lot about using Charlotte Mason's methods and applying them to real life, for real life moms. And so one thing that people ask me a lot about is what I do for science. And I've got to tell you that science has not always been, I'm not really I like operational science. I like to know what science can do for me in a practical way. But theoretical science is not like a strong point with me, so I'll just be honest with you about that. However, I still find it fascinating, and I like to cover science in a more Charlotte Mason way, which means to me that there is use materials that don't talk down to children, that don't dumb things down, that aren't like what they call in the ad industry, they're not low-hanging fruit. In other words, it's not something. It's something that a child will have to reach up to grasp. It's not really meant to be too easy, otherwise it gets boring. It's like eating white bread with mayonnaise. So to spice things up, to make things interesting, and especially for girls are not usually into like the theoretical side of science or the technical side of science, shall I say. So what I use a lot of different things, but like 3 main things that are easily available to everyone, and I think are very quality and easy to use and inexpensive, because a lot of science textbooks are very expensive, and then you get halfway through it and your child's totally lost and you don't feel like you want to continue, and then you've just wasted like $60, $75, $100 on a complete curriculum that you're not going to use. So here's a way you can use these books when your children are like in the elementary grades and throughout middle school, and sometimes even high school. If you have a child that's definitely not going to do like a technical thing in their lives, you don't have to worry about, trying out for competitive college or whatever. These are just overview kind of things or interest-led kind of things. One thing I really like, and actually this is more of a history book than it is a science book, but it's part of this series. It's Exploring Planet Earth is what this one is called. And this is kind of goes through all the explorers, and it's kind of like a geography kind of geography kind of a book. And it's mostly, now the author is John Hudson Tyner, and I'm so thankful to you, John Hudson Tyner, for the books that you created. And these are also published by Master Books, which is a Christian organization. They publish a lot of the stuff that Ken Ham has done. And this is it's a Christian worldview history of exploration of the planet. So it's very, very interesting. And it's stories. It's a narrative. These are narratives that bring the facts out in the narrative. At the end of each chapter are questions that you can have your children answer. You can do those orally, or you don't even have to do them at all. I haven't done a lot with a lot of my kids, but I have a child who really loves to do it, so I like to do those with her at the end. It makes her feel happy we do them orally. Then here's another one in this series called The History of Medicine. This is a fascinating book, and it just gives an overview of the different breakthroughs in medicine and the different personages, and it's really good. It's got a lot of narrative to it. It's very interesting. This is Exploring the World Around You. This is written by Gary Parker, and it's a good overview of what we would call earth science. And there are a lot of illustrations and charts and interesting things in these. These are really good. And then there are also some little more higher, little more technical. We're getting here. Exploring the world of physics, exploring the world of chemistry. There's an Exploring the World of Astronomy and Exploring the World of Mathematics. So these are all very interesting books, very interesting. They do have like sides where you do some little experiments, or you do some in the world of physics. They have actually some of the formulas that you will use for different things, and you can try those out, or they will explain how they work and etc. Okay, so then another series that I found kind of interesting is from Bethlehem Books. Bethlehem Books is another publisher that you need to check out as a Christian, because they have books with the Christian worldview. Now, this is a Catholic publisher, but I'm telling you what, these are wonderful, wonderful books. These really bring out the godly perspective in things. This one is written by Benjamin Weicker. I'm a little bit acquainted with this author. His wife homeschools their children. And this is Archimedes and the Door of Science, written by Jean Bendick. And so these will explore, this one is very fascinating, especially if you have a child who's kind of interested maybe. I have a child who's interested in becoming a doctor. And so she's going to be reading this. This helps introduce the table of the periodic table, and it explains how it came to being, the different parts of it. And there's another one or two books in this series. I think Galen and the Doors to Medicine or something like that. But anyway, these are definitely worth checking out. Definitely Charlotte Mason based ideas. They're not twaddle at all. Okay, another series that is an amazing series, especially for young people, little tiny people even, during the spring, summer, and fall. These books are amazing. And if you live by the ocean too, these will be great. You know, tide pools and all that. These books are published by Christian Liberty Press. And I think there's a lot of those. A lot of their books are really excellent. This is another publisher that you should know about. These are inexpensive. They're in narrative form. They explain the lives of different creatures like spiders and worms and bees, and here's a little fish, here's something on a bird. Fleas even. Fleas and beetles and just a hummingbird. Okay, now these are one of the older versions. This is like the second generation. There's a third generation that has color illustrations and has been updated. But pretty much they all follow the same format. I think in that generation, I think they've added a fifth one. They go all the way from like a beginning reader could read book one, and I'll show you that the text is big and easy to read. And I think like an early reader, like we're talking about, just, you know, after you've been reading a little bit, they could, you know, read basic paragraphs. I think they could handle this. Or you could read it aloud to your little kids, and you can talk about the different things. It's fun either way. It's either for a self-read or a read aloud. And they do have some review questions at the end that you can use just as to stimulate conversation. I don't tend to like kids to have to write the questions out. I mean, I think those are kind of really boring, really traps you in just a little thing. But anyway, that's another series. And so these are 3 series that I have used with my kids, and they've all really appreciated it. Now, some things that you could add in are some, like an Usborne Encyclopedia of Science or Kingfisher Encyclopedia of Science, and they have a lot of different science books you could add into that. And what I like to do with all these books, depending on the child, I have a child that is more of a talker than a writer. So right now, we are going through these books orally. She is reading through a chapter. She's done with the history of medicine. But each chapter she read, and then I would ask her the little questions. She would do them orally, and then she would explain to me the interesting points in that chapter and why she liked it so much. So then we would be done. We were done. That's her science for the day. Now, I have a daughter or two that, besides the oral part, they love to notebook. And notebooking, I think, is like a fun way of doing the Charlotte Mason type of narration. Okay, now if you want to know all about what I think of Charlotte Mason and how wonderful it is, but how I've been able to apply it to my life and my homeschooling life, you can look on my channel and you'll find more videos on that. I should organize them in playlists, don't you think? But anyway, some of those things you have to get to sometime when you have a breather. Breathers. Okay. So anyway, so I have some examples of these notebooking pages. This is done by my 12-year-old. Of course, what my children do for their spare time is they draw a lot. Drawing in our house is like one of the fun things everyone does. This is a chapter, The Spaniards Sail West, and so that's what she's done there. This one was the Portuguese sail east. So that's what she did there. And here is one, Marco Polo's Big Adventure. So I have a place here for people, places, and things, synopsis or main idea, map, chart, or drawing, a quote, words, and she's supposed to answer the questions here, which she did not do. You know, it's real life, right? Okay, so then this is exploring the world around you. And this is, I made these ones a while ago. I've since revamped this. But anyway, so this is what my 15-year-old has been doing. Don't you love her little froggy? Yeah. Yeah. So, but she does, I mean, here, she's done some amazing, she's such so good. Here's, she has a picture of a young man sitting in the forest. But her favorite, she said, was the oceanography one. So here's a little girl at the beach. Here's some tube worms, I believe. And she loves that stuff. So she loves drawing. When she draws stories. So anyway, so these are the notebooking pages that I have used with my children. I've created more. And I'm actually offering for the free download for you. If you wanted to use any one of these series, I'm going to have notebooking pages that you can download and print out for your children to use with them with this series, the different series. I think that some of these are generic enough to where you could adapt it to some other books maybe that you wanted to use in these different areas. I hope this blesses you. I hope this gives you something to think about and apply that is very inexpensive. Like I said, I think these might be going for $8 or $10 a piece. Yeah, this series is inexpensive. And for what these are really, really amazingly cheap for what they are. I think maybe, at the time I bought this was $14. It's probably more cents. But these are really inexpensive. And you can find all of these on Amazon. I will, put the link on my blog and down below for these different series. So you can just go there and do that. Along with the link for the post where I'm going to put the free downloads for all the notebooking pages. So if you were looking for something that was inexpensive but could cover your science area, and actually a lot of it can be self-directed. In other words, you don't have to sit with your kids and make sure they're doing, or if you're really crunched for time, and let's say that you are going through a history thing and you were covering, like we covered Middle Ages last year, this year we're going to go do early U.S. history. So let's say that you're really delving deeply and you're doing a lot of unit study kind of things, but you feel like you need to touch science once a week or something. This is a way to do it. It's more self-directed. You just say to your readers, say, just read this chapter and here's a notebooking page for you, fill it out, and you've got it done, and you can talk to them about it, have a 5-minute conversation. So what did you think about this chapter? So you're touching base, you're still involved, but it's more it's something that you can put off of your main list. It's something you're getting done, but you don't have to put a lot of personal time. If you've got a lot of little babies and toddlers, this is a great way to get science in there without spending a lot of extra time. Unless you want to take one of these books and make it full-blown unit study, and the notebooking pages are a way that, you're going on the board and you're writing things and they're writing it down in their notebooking page, which is another fun way. You just get a wipe-off board and you read the chapter, and as you're reading, then you write down words that you want them to put. I mean, for little tiny kids, that might even work better, because and I've done this before. If you want to read through this with little tiny kids, in each chapter, you could write on the board some interesting words you want them to write down or whatever. I mean, there are a million ways to go about it, but just take chapter by chapter. It's kind of also if you want to take a chapter and do a full-blown kind of interest-led unit study. So you read the chapter aloud, and then let's say it's a chapter about worms. Then you go online and you look at all the different worm, videos. Find all the worm facts you can. Then you go in the backyard and you dig some worms up and you take them and you examine them and you dissect them and you do all this. Okay, don't torment them, that stuff. Anyway, so then you do that, and so then you've got all this stuff that you're doing, and then you just got a little notebooking page to wrap up. Just a whole bunch of fun things you could do. You could go crazy. But maybe the notebooking pages will just be a help. So I hope they're a blessing to you. I hope this really helps you to simplify and to make sense, to grab onto the chaos and bring it into submission, into order, in Jesus' name. I love you, and you have a wonderful day. Oh, make sure you like and subscribe. Okay, bye-bye.